the one thing I really feel that I failed on in this first tournament, and that was getting the information out to everyone who wanted to play. So that's something I'm going to have to work on for the next one. And getting a better schedule.
Alright, I'm back.
Hello, Ben.
Hello.
So I'm ready to jump into games whenever you are, Partooth.
Me too.
So we're going to jump into game 1 of QNgreenTEA versus Soproni. And I'm just going to call QNgreenTEA Queenie, because that's what we do in chat.
Okay.
And QNgreenTEA is a rather long name to say.
Yeah, that is quite true. So the first game is going to be on Overgrowth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a ZVZ. Overgrowth is a standard map. It's probably one of the most standard maps in the pool, to be honest.
It's the most standard. It's like the Belgian Vestige of modern times.
Okay, so Soproni's the platinum player in this, and Queen is the gold player. So it's another gold v platinum league. Should be interesting.
I should point out that Queenie is gold, but she has practiced very hard lately, and her MMR is high plat, even into diamond. So
oh wow!
While her portrait shows gold, her skill doesn't. And do you want to keep doing the introductions, Ben?
Yeah, I can do the intros again. Okay, so in the top right, we have the pink Zerg player. It's QNgreenTEA.
Mm-hmm.
And in the bottom left, we have the blue Zerg Soproni.
Yeah, I just saw that Queenie entered chat here. And she didn't know I was casting, because I couldn't reach her on Skype, and it never occurred to me that I could tweet her, so I'm sorry, Queenie, but I'm glad you're here now.
Well, you got here in time for your games.
Yep.
Which is a good thing. Okay, so there was no really early pool put down by either player, so I think we're just going to see standard openers here right now.
And right now I'm looking at Queenie's very interesting... What do you call those logos?
Clan tags.
Clan tags.
Okay, so Queen has dropped the gas here into pool. So either Queen wants to get the fast speed, then just pull out of gas, or actually wants to be aggressive. But I think aggressive is going to be the way, to be honest. We haven't seen... Yeah, we're seeing more drones being produced and not really saving their minerals up to go for an expand, unless Queen goes for a 16 hatch. But there's an overload queued up, so I don't think we're going to see an expansion here.
No,
I just think we're going to see some sort of Zergling all-in, maybe.
I think it was 13 gas, 13 pool.
Yeah, so it's a 13-13 then. So once again, 13-13 aggressive build. But it can also you're also very safe as well when you're 13-13. You cannot die too much. I think the only thing you really die to with 13-13 is 10 pool plus like a worker pool maybe. But I don't think you can die to much else.
And Soproni, it seems like he went with his standard build that we saw against Monkey, which is a very safe build that prioritizes tech over getting your hatch up.
Yep, and I think we're going to see him drop the Spine Crawler again. Oh no, it's the Roach Warren first.
It's the Roach Warren. So we've seen this against Monkey, and the second gas...
This we haven't seen yet, the second gas.
I'm not really sure about that. Can you sustain that?
No, it's too early in the game to have the minerals to support that gas. Right now, he's putting himself in a bad position by taking that gas.
And Queenie has pulled out of gas. She left 1 droning gas.
That's standard, to be honest. 1 droning gas.
Yeah, so she can afford a baneling nest and 2 banelings, if that's what she wants to do. But right now she's only building lings. Oh, a drone.
I think I do this build a lot when I play. As you can see, the lings actually moving across the map for queen. But I open pool gas, I get my speed, and then I leave 1 or 2 drones in gas. Only in ZVZ. And then I have my gas, my layer, and my roach. So we have the lings coming here. They're going to pick off a queen. Maybe move up into the main and get a couple of workers. Okay, so I think Soproni's dealing with this well right now.
So she only built, I think, 8 or 10 lings.
They were already worth it. Getting the queen is easily worth double what you've paid for it, just because you need the inject so badly.
But it wasn't the all-in that I expected. It was just a pressure build.
Yeah, so making it's not normally a build you see in ZVZ. It's normally just a build you see in the other 2 matchups, ZVP and ZVT, where you build 6 to 8 lings and you just try and get some early aggression done. But it worked out well, and picking off a queen is really huge this early in the game.
And she got a complete scout too.
Yeah, knows everything what's going on.
So she's seen the 2 gases, although 1 hasn't been mined from.
I think maybe it was just a mistake dropping that second gas. I couldn't say if it was an extractor trick or not, but maybe he just forgot to cancel.
Yeah, that's possible.
So we have the baneling nest coming down for Soproni, which is quite interesting. It's quite late to be aggressive with, so maybe it's just defensive because he scouted the early speed.
I think it's defensive because she's done nothing but drone ever since that attack. She has no units out now, I think. 7 zerglings, that's...
I think what she was doing here was trying to scare Soproni into thinking she was all in, and then just metagaming him and droning behind it.
And it worked completely because Soproni built 2 spines.
Yeah, it worked perfectly, and Queen is really far ahead in this game now.
And she very intelligently put 1 ling on every path out of Soproni's base, so she can react to any aggression she sees. So it's all about droning for her.
Yeah, I think Queen's prepared really well for this matchup, because right now we've seen flawless play. Keeping the gas count down, the minerals are getting a little high. Maybe she's going to move out and take a 3rd, but I just think because of them lings and getting that queen, I'd say getting a queen, say you invest 150 minerals for a queen, I'd say getting the queen's worth up to 300 minerals, just because you're losing them injects and then the time it takes to create another. So
this is one thing that I actually know is a playstyle choice from Queenie, and that is to get the carapace upgrade instead of the ranged upgrade, even when she goes into roaches.
I've seen some people do this. I think it's not normally done with roaches. It's normally done when you're going for ling baneling aggression, because with that carapace, banelings don't one-shot your lings.
But this is done much later than
it really is. I'm not really sure about the carapace, because carapace is really useless for roaches, to be honest. But it's not useless, but because roaches are really heavy armored units anyway, the attack is just superior. And that's why when you look at pro games, you just see them get the +2 attack and leave it really late to get the carapace, if not get it at all.
This is after I saw this, I also did some research and talked to Queenie about it. I'm cheating because I know the future here. So I had a little discussion with Queenie about it, and basically the reason you go for ranged attack instead of carapace is that carapace gives +1 armor to every roach, while every step of ranged attack gives +2 attack. So in roach versus roach, ranged units out DPS the armor, which is why you go for ranged and not for carapace. The only upside to getting carapace is that you can that it also applies to lings and everything else you build, but lings aren't really used that much.
They're pretty useless versus roach.
And it doesn't really do the banelings any good either if you go roach baneling, because the banelings are there to die.
Yeah.
But sorry for going off on a tangent there. Queenie she took a third base, and she's droned it up fully. No gases yet, but
and
50.
She started a really early hive. This is like super early for ZVZ.
Yeah.
I don't really see why. Maybe for just really early Vipers, or maybe some sort of broodlord play, but we don't see the Spire yet, so I'm not quite sure. There is extra gases coming down, so maybe it is some sort of hive unit.
And she's still building drones, and I think this is perfect play, really.
Yeah, and taking the gold behind that. And Soproni's got his third and his fourth on the way at the same time. I just think, so we see a Spire coming down from Soproni, we actually see it this time. So what you can do when you take the Spire like this, you can, when I make Spires in ZVZ, I make the Spire, I build 5 Muta, and make your opponent think you're staying, you're going Muta, and with the 5 Muta they invest into the anti-air unit, so either Hydra or Infestor. But what you do, you just make the 5 Muta and you use them for map control. You don't, like, if you lose the Muta, it's game over basically. But if you keep the 5 Muta alive, your opponent is always going to be on the back foot. They're going to be panicking to get the anti-air units out, so if your opponent makes a lot of Hydra to counter the Muta, your Roach will just straight up win the ground fight.
Because you have a much larger army.
Yeah, exactly. So we see Queen moving across the map here.
She also is getting an Ultralisk cavern behind it.
This is quite strange, you don't really see Ultralisk much. So anyway, Queen has a huge amount of Roach, yeah?
Yeah, there's a very good supply, a good 50 up. But her Roaches are segmented off, and the Banelings are stuck behind the Roaches.
I think Soproni could have microed this a lot better. Yeah. If Soproni just pulled back 2 Roaches and moved the Banelings in there, he could have done a lot more. Yeah, I do think he's going to eventually hold this and stabilize, but it's still pretty bad for him. He's not got many minerals right now. He's took too much gas, and yeah, he's just going to evacuate the third, which is the right decision.
He's going to stabilize, but on a good 15 drones down, and a good 50 down in supply.
And we have 7 Ultralisks on the way. I think this is why. I think I know this is why she goes for the Carapace if she's doing this Ultralisk build. Because if you've ever used Ultralisks without any Carapace, they just die.
Yeah.
So I do think that's the reason we see Carapace now, which is interesting.
And she's doing chitinous plating too.
Yeah,
which is going to finish up very nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely the reason. Burrow as well. Like Queen can do what she wants here. She can go into every tech tree. She's in such a strong position. And
she's on 8 gas versus 4. She's on 4 base versus 3.
Yeah, and Soproni's just in a bad position here. I think one of Soproni's biggest mistakes here was taking the double gas at his third and actually putting workers in every gas, because he was floating way too much gas. He was floating 1000 gas and had 0 minerals. It
makes sense if he was planning a Muta switch, but...
Yeah, it does, but the Muta switches, the Mutas are really late now and delayed. If he was planning the Muta switch, he's seen the army of Queen moving across the map with his overlords, so there was no reason not to make the Mutalisk, because they would have helped a lot more with holding the attack. But instead, he let his Roaches trickle out one by one and just die. So anyway, Queen's just going to go for the killing blow here, and there's just no way that Soproni can hold this, I don't think.
And in a second you're going to have 0-0 Mutas trying to take down +5 armored Ultralisks.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see that they're doing absolutely nothing. The Mutalisk they're just useless here. You would be better having 50 drones versus this than these Mutalisk, because they're just not doing anything. And Queen can just A move now and end the game.
I think that what really won Q in the game was her very good map vision that allowed her to take a third and drone it up completely safely.
Yeah, indeed.
And then she just had too many Roaches for Soproni to do his Muta switch. She attacked at a good timing.
The muta switch was so late, and it was really like, it made no sense because they hadn't fought with any roaches at all. So for all Queen knew, he could have been like making muta. Neither of them had seen each other's army, so it was quite a strange decision to drop the Spire.
It was I was very happy to see this level of play from Queenie, because I knew her, but I'd never played her.
Yeah, it is quite impressive.
Because she has a very solid macro.
I think that is one of the keys to playing ZVZ though. You have to
GG from Soproni.
It was inevitable. But I was saying, one of the things you have to like learn to do when you're playing ZVZ, and that's to, you know, have the balls to make drones, because a lot of the time in ZVZ you're going to be really scared of just because the way Zerg works, the production, and you can change how the game goes in seconds. You could just make 20 roaches and move across the map, and that's why some Zergs, you know, are quite scared when they're droning up, and they cut workers and make units. So
I completely agree with that.
I think what Soproni could have done better in that game is manage his workers better, not so much cut workers or make more of them. He was still behind in workers, and his third was late, but he could have managed it a lot better, like by not having so many workers in gas, for example. His muta switch, if he was going to do it, like, should have been a good 2 minutes earlier, I think. And
I think also this applies to everyone who may be watching, who is a Zerg who is stuck around silver, gold, low plat. I think the most common thing I see is simply not droning enough. Because I remember that when I was learning Zerg, and I'm no pro by any means, I'm just diamond, but I remember that when I was in silver and gold, what I always did was overreact to any threat that could kill me and build too many units, just like you said.
Yeah, and one of the things is in ZVC, defender's advantage is huge just because of how volatile Zerg production is. You can make units whenever you want, really. So anyway,
moving on to this map, we're once again back cross on Altazim.
So I think the way I seen Queen play in the first game, this is a very good map just because of how good her macro is. But anyway,
Queen is the pink Zerg in the top right, and Soproni is the blue Zerg in the bottom left.
So we see Queen going for the cross scout. It's not, and Soproni's going to go for the diagonal scout.
Yeah.
So neither player is going to find out where they are till a good few minutes into the game.
I'm curious. I've seen both Monkey and Soproni go cross scout.
Maybe they just think it's some sort of cross spawn map. I don't know.
So they're building drones, and we're once again back in early ZVZ limbo.
Indeed, Game of Drones.
No early pools, no shenanigans.
Yeah.
Just drones. And we're watching the production tab right now.
Yeah. I do think Soproni may just pull out his opener again. The opener he's been doing in all of his games. But I genuinely just don't think that game is too great. By the way, the game speed is on normal and not faster, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
You may want to speed the game up to normal speed, Potif. No.
Faster times 8. Okay, thank you for skipping early ZVZ. I see that Eki in the chat is also saying WUB, which is very, very appropriate. And Queenie is going for 3 hatch before pool.
That in ZVC is just incredibly ballsy.
Yeah.
So let's look at it now. Soproni's Overlord is going to scout that hatch. He's going to know it's the 3rd hatch because of the timing. He's not he's just going to know straight away, okay, that's going to be a 3rd hatch. So he's going to know straight away it was either hatch pool hatch or hatch pool.
Yeah.
And if he scouts the free hatch now, he can literally just make a queen, get his speed, and make Zerglings, and queen will never be able to hold it. I just don't think like.
I've seen a few people take the outside base as their second, but not in ZVZ.
No, not at all. I just, if I was in this game and I'm, not a pro player, it has been said, but as soon as I'd scout that third hatch, I would instantly cut drones at that moment. I would cancel everything I was going to do, and I would just make Zerglings and win the game.
I don't know what I would do, because I don't think I've ever run into a 3-hatch before pool.
Yeah, I've never seen it either, but I think that's the correct reaction, just to... Like, we see Soproni's dropped his Roach Warren again. As soon as he sees this, I would cancel the Roach Warren, which he's seen it now. Yeah. So, cancel the Roach Warren. Stop making drones. Maybe make 2 extra queens, because you'll have the spare minerals. Just so you're, safe to fall back on if you don't end it. But I just think if you make Zerglings now, there's no way that the opponent can hold, especially when they go 3-hatch before pool like this.
So he let the Roach Warren finish and got an Evo chamber and started his lair.
There's a lot of ways Soproni could play this, but the best way to play it would just be being straight up aggressive instantly.
I think he's planning on doing a +1 attack with roaches, since he's starting the lair and the Evo chamber.
Yeah, and he wants to get roach speed with that as well.
Yeah.
So...
now he definitely knows for certain, because he got a ling into the third of, or the second of Queenie.
At this point in the game, the 3-hatch before pool's paid off. Queen is safe now. She has map vision. Basically, Soproni now should be incredibly worried about his position in this game, just because of how that's opened.
If you're gonna go 3-hatch before pool in ZVZ, this is the map to do it, though.
Yeah, indeed.
And I think that Queenie figured she was 1 game up, and she figured she could get an advantage doing this, and if she lost the game right away, it wasn't a very big deal. So she took a risk, and now she's way ahead.
Yeah.
That's how it often goes. She's not very ahead in drones, but she's going to be very soon.
You're never going to instantly be ahead in drones when you go 3-hatch, because you invest so many minerals. But as soon as you get that free base lava production, you're just going to explode in economy.
She has a queen at the third that hasn't started injecting yet, but now it has.
Maybe just forgot to put it on a hotkey or something.
Do you know the math on it? I actually don't know the math, I just play the game. But
the math on what?
How many larvae spawn every minute?
I think it's 4. Oh, you mean per inject or just per minute? I think it's 1 larva every 20 seconds. I'm not quite sure though. So 3 larva per minute.
So Soproni is now taking his third.
Someone in chat might have to correct us on that.
Yep. Sorry for asking about math on stream.
Yeah, Soproni's third is really late. By taking this third, he puts himself in a worse position. If you scout 3-hatch, there's, like I said, there's a lot of ways you can react. You can cancel everything, make Zerglings. You can take a third base yourself, or you can just 2-base +1 roach all in. And Soproni's doing neither of them. It's just putting him in a bad position in the early game here.
So Soproni went for +1 carapace and has now started +2 carapace.
Yep.
So he's going the upgrade route that Queenie went the last game.
Yeah, that's true.
And meanwhile,
sorry for interrupting you. Maybe he wants to go down that sort of ultralisk path. I don't know. But I can see the carapace. That's like the only reason you would really do that, to be honest.
I was surprised because Queenie built a spore, and I can't really see any reason for it. But
well, she's seen him go muta.
Yeah.
So Maybe she just thinks that he's a Muta player, and Spore is 75 minerals. It's hardly an investment when you have the sort of economy she does.
She does have a changeling in his base, though.
No, that is also true. I didn't see that. So, yeah, but the changeling hasn't seen behind the mineral line in the natural at all either, though.
That's true.
It could have missed the spire, but anyway, it's 75 minerals. The investment at this point in the game is worth it. And Queenie's doing really well. She's on, let's see, 58 drones. The creep spread is starting to, come into effect now. It's pretty late creep spread, but it's decent creep spread. Like,
how do you feel about
tumors? You can just spread so fast.
How do you feel about creep spread in ZVZ?
I don't like it. You give your opponent an advantage when they attack you. I don't creep spread in ZVZ. I connect my bases and then stop at that. The only time you would really spread creep if you were playing some sort of swarm host style. But other than that, I just don't think there's a reason to really creep spread. It's not bad because you have the vision as such, and she thinks she's going to be playing against mutas maybe at some point. I don't know. It'll give a lot of vision, but So we're going to see a fight in the middle now.
Yeah. And I think this fight is
Queenie's fight, to be honest. She has 1-1 and Soproni only has +2 Carapace. I think 1-1's going to be +2 Carapace all day.
And while we were talking, and I'm sorry I missed this, Soproni has started investing in swarm hosts.
I don't think swarm hosts are really good in CVC anymore. They used to be, but we've seen some crazy games like Stefano versus Petraeus, Lone Star Clash and stuff like that. But they don't work that way anymore.
But they are a way to kind of claw your way back into a game where you're economically behind because of the cost efficiency.
Yeah, that's true. But Soproni isn't. He's doing it again. He's investing too many things at once.
Yeah.
So he's getting his hive, he's getting a Hydra then, he's getting swarm host, all at the same time. And he's getting ventral sacks, which I don't quite understand. Maybe that was a misclick. Like, I think Soproni, in the games we've watched so far, Soproni's biggest mistakes are going down too many tech routes at the same time. And that's really what puts you behind in any matchup.
And I think Queen's mistake right here is her passive. What do you say? She's very passive.
Yeah, very passive. And when you have this sort of lead, there's no really a way to be passive. With the armies now, Queen's max, she could just move in with the Roach. She doesn't know about the Swarm Host yet, I don't think. But there's not many Swarm Hosts out. You can just kill the Swarm Host if you have an Overseer with your army.
She has two
tours just finished, so this was an amazing timing and could have just ended the game here.
Yeah, she's found out her Roaches very well. She's going to be attacking from 3 points at the same time.
As soon as Soproni moves out, she can move in and she'll have like a full surround.
The one problem here is that her Roaches didn't move in all at once. They kind of trickled in. So Soproni got a few extra shots off. And it looks like it's so hard to call Roach v Roach fights.
I think Soproni holds this now because of the Swarm Host.
Yeah, Locust did the extra damage
required. There's no Overseer with the army, so what Queen should do right here is just run up into the main, and I think she's going to do that.
Yeah.
This is like a good fight for Queen now. Like, the way these units are spread, Soproni has to funnel his units into the ramp. She has the high ground advantage here as well. She should go into the mineral lines here and do as much damage as she can, I believe.
She's choosing to go for the upgrades instead. Cancelling +3 Carapace. And the Roach Warren. So she basically knew that her Roaches were on a timing there. They weren't going to survive very long.
Yeah. But I think that's the correct thing to do. Just Roaches, like, at this point in the game, she has such a good economy. She can just keep producing them and throwing them away, and she'll still be ahead just because of the advantage she has. She's got a 4th base up. She has so many drones.
Yeah, She hasn't droned up her 4th, but to be honest, she doesn't need to at this point. She just needs a way to deal with the swarm hosts, which are, to be fair, growing in number. We're looking at 12 swarm hosts right now.
The way you play with swarm hosts nowadays, though, you can't really play just full turtle swarm host anymore. If you're gonna go to swarm hosts, you need to be aggressive with them now, I feel.
I agree.
I just think this is Queenie's going to lose, like I said in the first game. If Queenie plays this out how she's playing it now, and that's being aggressive like this, there's no way she can lose the game.
Yeah.
And we see here she's picking off so many swarm hosts.
Yep, she's already taken down 10 swarm hosts right there.
She just focus fired the swarm host there.
Yeah.
And she's not going to win this roach fight, but she's going to trade enough to be worth it because she killed the swarm host as well.
So she took down 10 swarm hosts, and that's a lot of minerals and a lot of gas. So it was well worth it, I think.
Yeah, indeed.
And she's on the 4th. That's currently mining. What I was gonna say about creep spread is I actually like it in ZVZ just for the vision.
But don't you think it gives your opponent an advantage? Yeah, you're always going to have the advantage on your side of the creep because of the vision you have for roach engagements. But just because of if you're fighting off creep on your side of the map and you have the reinforcement advantage, you're always going to have the better fight, even if you don't have the vision.
I like to play rather aggressively, and it simply shortens my reinforcement route.
Yeah, that is true.
But in defensive games, yeah, the creep spread can hurt you too.
But what you can also do as an aggressive player in CVC, you can just have your overlords positioned out for a creep highway, and then when you choose to retreat, you can just, cancel the creep.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Zerg players using, the creep ability from the overlords anyway. So we see an engagement here. I think Soproni wins this because Queen just has way too many hydras.
Yep. Same thought there. And her roaches are all very bruised, so they're gonna melt in a second. But she has 3-3 now, so she's fully equipped. And she's kept on teching, she's building a greater spire.
Every tech route in the game is now open to Queen.
Except Banelings.
Basically, yeah.
But,
okay, that was a big fungal on them hydras, but once again, Queen shouldn't be making this many hydras.
No.
It's just making this many hydras is losing you the game.
I think she can reinforce, alright, she won't lose it, but she definitely gave up a lot of very expensive units there.
I believe, with Roach Hydra, which I genuinely don't play Roach Hydra in CVC. I just tend to go pure Roach, and then if the opponent goes for Hydras, I'll just make Banelings. Speed Banelings are really good. Even if they hit Roaches, they can still be really cost efficient if you get good hits. So I feel like you need, if you are playing Roach Hydra though, for every 5 Hydras, you want 7 to 10 Roaches, I feel. Just to make sure you have the meat shield for the Hydras, otherwise Hydras are just useless.
I even build less than that. I just sprinkle in some Hydras, so that you have slightly more power in max versus maxed.
Yeah.
If we see Broodlords are morphing now.
I don't think Broodlords are very good in this position. As we see, Soproni has a lot of Hydras out. He can easily just get underneath the Broodlords if he has the Roaches to tank the Broodlings. There is one thing Soproni doesn't have going for him. He doesn't have a 4th base. He's oversaturated in his natural. He's not got many drones at all. Oh, sorry, he has got a 4th base. I didn't see where he had taken it. But he's once again low on drones. And because he doesn't have that many drones, that's just slowly losing him the game. So it'll be nice to see Soproni maybe drone up. I said you should be aggressive with Swarm Host, but if he turtled for a few minutes and made drones, he could really pull back into this game. I also noticed he got Overlord drops, so if you've got Overlord drops, even though they're not that common, you may as well use them. So if you just put a few roaches in Overlords and went and, drop them around Queen's bases, he could do a lot, force the army back and keep Queen on her side of the map while he drones up again.
What I was going to say about the Broodlords is that the Broodlords were really the killers of the Swarm Host versus Swarm Host.
Yeah.
Because before you would counter Broodlords with Vipers, so we would pull the Broodlords into Spores.
Yeah.
But Blizzard made a patch that made Broodlords immune to Vipers, Viper pools.
Yeah, and that's what made Swarm Hosts bad in ZVZ.
So I think it's a good choice actually that she built Broodlords if she covers them correctly.
Yeah, that's true, but once again, we don't see that many Swarm Hosts for Soproni, so that's why I was saying it couldn't be that good. But with the amount that Queen has, I still don't know how Soproni's in this game, and he's playing really well to stay in this game. He could be doing a lot more to keep his economy up.
And right now we have 3 units fighting 3 units.
Yep. And Broodlings actually beat Locust.
Yeah. So let's see where we're at. She has a good siege position between the 3rd and the 4th.
Soproni has an okay position though as well.
Yeah.
He has the high ground here, and he has the Swarm Host on the low ground, so Queen can't push in.
And he's building Corruptors.
That's not the correct response to this, I don't think, just because Queen already has Corruptors of her own.
But she only has 5 of her own.
Yeah, but he still needs to win the Corruptor fight when she has +1 Carapace and he has no upgrades. And then he needs to take out the Broodlords, and there's still Hydras on the ground. So I think versus this, Infestors would have been a better choice.
But he managed to get under the Broodlords with the Hydras there. So we took all of the Broodlords out. So we won the fight.
Queen, he held off here, but I think Queen could just once again remax and move out on the map again. But Queen has made some Mutalisk as well. I'm unsure why she would do this right now, but
I think this was one of the few mistakes I saw from Queenie, if I can say that. Because why would you build Mutas when there are Corruptors out?
Exactly, and Hydralisk also. It's too late in the game to just swoop around with them and pick off stuff from mineral lines, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I just think they're pretty much useless at this point. But I'd really like to see Soproni, because I'm gonna say it was a mistake getting Overlord drops, but because he got Overlord drops, he can just make Roach at this point in the game. Just fly Overlords out to Queen's base and just drop Roach in her bases, and he can do a lot of economic damage to try and pull his way back in that.
I think that he actually meant to get Overlord speed, because he still doesn't have that. And I don't think that he's noticed, really.
Yeah, maybe that was actually... Okay, so we were saying about creep spread before and how it can be good and bad. I think at this point in the game, it's actually really good. And in the bottom here, we can see small engagement with the Corruptors, and yeah, he's gonna pick off the Broodlords, but the Corruptors are gonna clean up everything else.
I guess that was the point of the Mutas then, to quickly get behind the Broodlords and take them out. But it's a very heavy investment. And the Mutas have no staying power in the game.
Yeah, that's true. But I was saying about the quick creep spread, at this point in the game, it's good, to be honest. Because you have the map vision, you're no longer going to be fighting full-out Roach v Roach fights. So you see every sort of counter push that's coming for you. So you're not really losing out by having the creep spread. And we see Queen moving up to take another base.
Yep. Which she actually needs on her drone count, because she's getting mined out. Her third only has 1 patch left.
Yep, she's on 76 drones, which is a huge amount of drones for ZVC. She has a few idle workers, and could have them on a base.
Do you think 76 is too many?
I think it's too many for ZVC. I think in ZVC you just want the free base saturation, not really much more than that. Well, that's how I play ZVC anyway. Like I said, I'm no pro, but I think the free base saturation is enough in ZVC.
I think we've both established that we're not pros, but we still have our opinions.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you think about the number of workers in ZVC.
I think it's too many, to be honest, because well, you have hyper efficient units right now, but still her bank is growing and she doesn't have quite as many units as she could have. So we have a slow fight for the middle here, but Queenie is, as always, on Soproni's side of the map.
What Queen could do here, she could just fly across. There's no spores. She could fly across with the Broodlords and Corruptors and get on top of Soproni's army. And depending whether Soproni controls it well, the AI of his Hydras will hit the Broodlings and not the units in the air. But that's whether he focus fires or not.
So this is a rather messy fight.
There's a lot going on here.
Roaches kind of wandered off on their own.
Yeah. I don't think this is the right thing to do for Queen. Heck, Corruptors are also in the back doing nothing now. And I think Soproni wins this fight.
I think maybe she should have pulled back a lot earlier, but it's hard to say.
This late in the game as well, I think just making like 20, 30 Zerglings and just running to one of the opponent's base and getting like some kills is also a good thing to do.
And I would love to see Adrenal Glands. Maybe.
Yeah, that's one of the upgrades a lot of people forget.
But she's rather low on gas, actually.
Yeah. I think Queen is slowly throwing away her lead here.
But this is one of the positions...
Not knowing how to deal with the swarm host.
Yeah. It's one of the positions where I, as a player, have no idea what to do, really. Because how do you win the game?
I think versus this, you need to... maybe some sort of drop play or nidus play. You really need to pick at your opponent's like extra bases because swarm hosts are really immobile units when you think about it. So if you can slip units in and pick off economy, that's how you win the game slowly, I think.
And this is what Queen is doing right now because she suddenly built, what is it, 15, 16 mutas? No, 14 mutas, and she's picking off bases with them.
Yep, and there's no spores down either, so just gonna get this is the correct thing to do.
And this is what didn't occur to me before, how much quicker they are than the Corruptors.
I don't think it's the right choice, but it's the right choice to be aggressive, but it's not the right choice to do it with Mutalisk. You just wanna, because she's low on gas, she doesn't want to waste the gas on the Muta. She could just make links because she's floating so many minerals and just keep trading links and throwing away links, and you'll eventually do a lot of damage. And this late in the game, 50 minerals for 2 links.
Sorry to interrupt you here,
really
but
insane.
Sorry, but they're saying that there's no audio on the stream for Partoof.
This audio, I just tested it.
Okay. Sorry, go on. Sorry for disturbing you.
Yeah, so I was saying trading links is a lot better, which is what she's doing now, which is the right choice. Make links and be aggressive with links rather than the Muta. Because the Muta are a lot of wasted supply because they're pretty useless in the straight up engagement.
So she's doing exactly what you said now. She's building a lot of Zerglings and taking out auxiliary bases.
Yeah, that's the correct thing to do. Use of corruption would be nice from the Corruptors as well, because neither of them are using that ability. And it's quite a huge ability when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so being aggressive in a lot of places, using the mutas, because she has them anyway, and using the links to be aggressive is the correct thing to do.
So Queenie is now, she's continuing to expanding. She is at her 6th base now, I think.
Just splitting the map in half, basically, but Soproni's... He could be dealing with this aggression a lot better. Like, as you see, he's got 4k minerals, so why not just drop 3 spines at each base, or 4 spines and a few spores here and there? It's really not an investment at all. He has a lot of lava saved up at his bases, so... he could do that.
I was going to comment on the banks being surprisingly similar, but that I think is the swarm host showing through, being cost efficient.
Yeah, but I just, as Soproni, needs to inject as well. He has no injects, so he has no queens even right now. He has 1 queen and it's got full energy in his natural.
He has links in his base.
They're going to pick off tech. These roaches should be able to clean it up though if they attack. Okay, so yeah, these links should get cleaned up by these roaches that pop now. But I think there's links everywhere right now, so what Soproni needs to do now, he needs to split his roaches and deal with the aggression, while the swarm host hold the front line. If he can deal with this aggression, try and stabilize, and get a queen for every base, get some static defense down, get his injects on par, he can really do well here. But even the queen is really far down in supply. She could really do with another, like, injecting, like, another thing that she's not doing as well. Just like Soproni, all of her queens are full energy, looking at all of her bases. They haven't injected for a long time.
She has 15 larvae though, so I'm wondering if she's thinking about what to build.
Maybe a remax on something, like, really unorthodox. I'm not really sure though.
Like I said,
she's making many corruptors now. A lot more corruptors, so... Still wants to play that Broodlord style, which I just don't think it's the right choice, especially when Soproni's playing... He's playing Turtle Swarm most, so she has the vision if he were ever to move onto her side of the map. So right now, there's no need to even worry about the Swarm host. They're not even rallying roaches over the map right now, they're just rallying on top of them. So we see Queen poking around with the Mutalis again. There's still no spores anywhere. Another Queen is getting picked off. She could really hit the jackpot here as well with these overlords, because Soproni isn't injecting, and he would need a lot of lava to remake all of the overlords. Even though he has the money for it, that wouldn't be... It'd be the lava that's the issue, and that'd be lava he wants to spend on units and not on making new overlords.
Yeah. Queenie also says in chat that she was focusing on so much in the game that her injects were suffering. We see another swell of Zerglings going across the map now, trying to just take out as much tech as possible, I think.
We see a big fight in the middle now, and Queen is losing this just because, once again, there was no need to make so many corruptors. If your opponent has corruptors and he doesn't have greater spy attack, then why make your own corruptors and fight his corruptors when you can just win the ground fight? No, I think Soproni just is going to move across the map here, and if he really commits, he can just take out one base after another. He can go to the 4th, he can go to the 3rd, and then he can kill all the tech in the main and everything. Like I was saying before, at this point in the game, roaches are just throwaway units. And I think he realizes this, that he can be aggressive now, because Queenie has way too many corruptors.
Meanwhile, Queenie's taking out base after base on the other side of the map with both roaches and lings harassing. So it's a full-on base race at this point.
Yeah, it's a base race, but there's not much on the map, on the other side of the map for Queen. She has a few lings and a few roaches, but it's not going to kill everything.
No,
well, I think what Soproni actually has roaches idle, and he could really just deal with this quite easily. But it's not really an issue right now. What I would like to see from Queenie here is rebuilding some of her tech on the other side of the map that she has taken, because currently at this point in the game, this side of the map that Soproni's taking out now is useless. So if she rebuilds, she loses all of her tech, but she can just rebuild like you said. And I think what Soproni is doing here is the right move, because even though he's got the advantage now with the units and he's taking stuff out in the economic game, he's still really far behind. He's low on gas, he's low on drones, he doesn't have any hatcheries anywhere with like mining bases apart from this base up here on the island that's now getting flooded with zerglings that are going to do damage as well.
And I see that we have now been hosted by BasetradeTV.
Oh, that's great. We're going to have a good 4,000 viewers or whatever come in now.
So we have 51 viewers or something. So hi everyone who jumped in the middle here. I'm Vaftruner, and this is the tournament I'm hosting, aceCate Cup, for Basetrade viewers. And you are Ben. Please introduce yourself to the new viewers.
Yeah, I'm doing my best casting for the first time.
And the Queenie is... Sorry.
I was going to say, it's looking good for Queenie here now.
She has 3 operational bases, and Soproni has none.
Basically, yeah. I think what Soproni has to do here, he needs to look for Queenie's army, and he needs to take out the army, and he needs to move around the map. Has he still got his swarm host alive? I believe he does somewhere, right? Or did he lose them? I think he lost them. Oh no, they're here.
10 swarm hosts.
Okay, so what he's doing now with the swarm host is the right thing. The swarm host on one side of the map, and he should be looking for the army with the mobile units.
Because he has the better army on the ground, actually.
Now, he would win a straight-up fight, and I think that's what he realizes. So what he's doing here is correct. He's being aggressive with the swarm host, but what he could be doing with his mobile ground units, he could be moving around looking for the army of Queen, or what Queen has left. But right now, most of her supply is in corruptors and workers, and I don't think she can win this game. I just think Soproni has the superior composition here, and I think he wins this game outright, because there's no way Queenie can deal with all this. I think Queenie's biggest mistakes in this game was not knowing what units to make. If she knew what units to make after a huge lead at the start, she could have done a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's a situation she's not often in. To be honest, I'm not either.
Okay, so here we see Queenie being aggressive again with roaches. Soproni's natural, but this really isn't going to do much at all now. Soproni's dropping hatcheries everywhere. All he needs to do is move around with his ground army now, defend the hatcheries he has, the building, because this is a base race, of course. He needs to defend the buildings he has with the swarm host and move around the map with his mobile units and just kill everything with Queenie's.
But I also think Queenie has taken up a very good position with her swarm host, with her broodlords.
Yeah, I don't think Soproni has any anti-air left. He has a few hydralists, but
yeah,
in Soproni's position here, he has hatcheries. So what he needs to do, he needs to spore up at the hatcheries he has, even though it's a really tough position. This can go either way.
I really think that the broodlords can defend the base against that many roaches just because of AI pathing, clogging up ramps and such with broodlings.
But if Soproni focus fire splits his units correctly, he can take out all the buildings. And Queen is going to be revealed soon, I think. If he finds this top base, I think he's going to find it eventually. He's got his Hydra here now, so he sees that base. So he knows Queen's rebuilding here, so what he needs to do is move up, split his units well. He needs to kill buildings here, because I think he needs to come to terms with the fact there's no way he can kill the broodlords. And he really just needs to manage his units well. He can fight the broodlords with his swarm host, because there's only there's not much that Queen can do about the swarm host, because if she was to focus fire with the broodlings on the swarm host, the swarm host would just their AI would just move in and take out the bases that she's trying to defend, and she would lose the game there as well. The Broodlords a blind counter to everything here, obviously, because there's no anti-air, but I just think that Soproni has too much. He can just kill everything before the Broodlords kill him.
It should also be pointed out that Soproni's roaches have 3/3, and there are no melee upgrades for Queenie.
Yeah, so, that's quite true also. His roaches are really tanky. And what I was saying is coming true, I think. He's just going to move around, take out the bases. He doesn't really have to worry too much about the Broodlords.
He just has to run past them.
Yeah, basically, and the Broodlords are the slowest unit here, so they're not going to be able to do anything.
But Queenie keeps on putting down hatches because she still has a 5,000 mineral banks, and she has
that's the right thing to do. I'm not sure if Soproni's seen the drones here in the base, but if he did, he could have went for the drones.
I think he's just going for buildings now and sort of tunnel visioning a bit, because he certainly saw the drones.
I think if he goes for the buildings here, it's not really too much of a big mistake, because he's still going to keep Queen contained in the top left of the map. But what he could be doing, he could be moving his swarm hosts, which he is doing now. They've just been in the map doing nothing for a while. So he could be moving them up to where he's just been, in the top left, and he could just be rallying more and more locusts and keep rallying locusts into there, and they're eventually going to overwhelm because they have the better upgrades anyway, so they will beat the Broodlords, the Broodlings, because the locusts have the better upgrades. And
sorry,
did the game crash here?
The game was interrupted here, and we resumed from replay.
Okay.
So that's what all this is about.
Okay. So anyway, continuing. I think Queen, the longer this game goes on, the better position Queen is going to be in. I think what Soproni needs to realize now is that he needs to either build drones at these hatcheries, which he should have already been done. He could be taking bases all around the map, just like Queenie. But I said, like, the longer the game goes on, the harder it's going to be for Soproni.
Yeah, and I feel I need to explain what happened here too. What happened was that there was an emergency for Soproni that forced him to leave the game, and he was interrupted during his gameplay, and that's why his gameplay may have suffered in the last few minutes before we did a reclaim.
Okay.
He can go into the emergency himself if he wants to. I don't know if he wants me to talk about it, but basically what happened was that I think a full 2 days passed until we could resume the replay.
Alright, so it was real life issues, basically.
Real life issues, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's understandable. So this game's happened in 2 separate days, basically.
Yeah.
That just adds to it even more. It just makes it slightly, you know... Okay, so we're watching this game now, so it's all happened, but each player's had like a 2-day break between the game now.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the 2-day break, we can see Soproni down on the right side of the map, clearing out these rocks for some reason. I think what he's doing is just looking for the bases. Queen's Broodlords are idle in the middle of the map now. They could be killing the bases. But yeah, Soproni is expanding everywhere, and he's doing what he should be doing. He's still like losing, like slowly here with the position. He was in a great position with the ground army, but he needs to find the bases with his swarm host, and he needs to just rally his swarm host. And Queen's doing the right thing here by dropping the spines. She has the minerals, so there's no reason not to just stack up that static defense. And
I agree, she has stabilized now to a point where she basically she has the advantage in almost any way, and if she could just start some ground unit production, the game should be hers.
Yep, exactly. And she should be starting a layer about now as well, so she can get back up onto that tech tree.
She also built a very cheeky spine to take out down one of the hatches.
Yeah, that's a point to make too. So she knows that Soproni is panicking here, he's hiding bases, and she's just doing what she should be doing, flying around with her broodlords, looking for stuff to pick off, basically.
Yeah, and building a proxy lair.
Yep. Just... everything right now is pointing towards Queenie winning this game.
Yeah. When we resumed from the replay, I think that Queenie was highly favored, but that Soproni still had a small chance at winning, which is why instead of just making a ruling, I decided to continue the game. I just wanted to give Soproni a chance. And I'm sorry for Soproni that his play suffered from having to deal with a real-life emergency in the middle of it.
I do think that Soproni, even though the game now is looking very good for Queenie, if Soproni played it right, he still has the swarm host, so he can position the swarm host at the bottom of the ramp. He can, you know, make it so Queenie can't move out, basically. He can take out what is left of the other bases on the map. He can just rebuild himself. There's still, like what he is doing in the bottom right, basically.
Yeah.
There's a lot he can do, but this is one.
And I
really
think that if he didn't have stuff to deal with, he probably would have rebuilt like this way earlier in the game.
Yeah, indeed. Like, if there was like real issues going on while he was playing and he had to deal with it, that's understandable.
I just wanted to point that out to be fair to Soproni. Let's see here. So I think that Queenie has stabilized herself on basically an unlosable position with all her spines.
Yeah, pretty much.
They cancel out really the only advantage that Soproni had, which was mobility, and soon she's going to skyrocket ahead in units too.
And she's getting the economy up and running again on two like full bases that haven't been mined, and
so the roaches are now discovering...
She's gonna scout the bases at the bottom now as well and just take them out with the Zerglings.
So the roaches discovered the spine forest, and they're doing the only thing they can, which is taking out the base.
Yep. I think Soproni can clean up all of this here, but he will lose a lot while doing it. I'm not sure, does he still have his swarm host on the map? Or did he lose them? He lost his swarm host. So right now it's 15 roaches versus all of this, and there's just no way Soproni can win this from this point. Queenie knows where he's expanding. She knows she has like a vision of everything right now.
He's doing the correct thing though, in my opinion, which is building queens.
He's doing the correct thing, but there's not much that...
If there is a way for...
Yeah, exactly. If there is a way, that's the way to do it.
With mana efficiency, basically. But he still needs a lot of time to build up.
But because of like the creep spread, everything, Queenie basically has like unlimited amount of vision at this point. She has the corruptors flying around. She has the creep spread, which is like legal map packs. She has Zerglings in the bottom right. She could see like where Soproni is at all times. Like the only part of the map where she's blind is the bottom left. And I think I think at this point she knows that it's just a matter of time before Soproni taps out.
Yeah, he's still fighting with the queens, and he's transfusing them, doing what he can to just keep his units alive and keeping his hopes alive in the game. And the cheeky spine has now taken down 2 hatches.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of time before he taps out of this game.
But I think this was an insanely long game. It's over an hour now, and in real life it lasted for 2 days.
Yeah, indeed.
I think that Queenie could have ended the game at 20 minutes.
Yeah, she was maxed. She was ready to move in.
But I think she respected the Locusts a bit too much and decided to pull back.
I think that's what a lot of players do. They see Locust and they panic. And
so I think that what basically happened is that Queenie built up a very good advantage that dates all the way back to 3 hatch before pool. And she's basically kept that advantage all game, but instead of winning, she kept getting a bit more ahead. And we're in the situation we are now, where she has complete map dominance, and we're just waiting.
Yep, indeed. That's pretty much what it comes down to now. Just a waiting game before she clears off all the buildings. I think that's what it's going to come down to, the last building dying. Soproni really is trying to come back into this game, but I just think he's stuck with what he needs to do here.
It has to be said, though, that the Queens amazingly saved the hatch here. That's currently on 52 HP.
What's that? Is that in...
It's
wow, yeah, the natural of the third base at the bottom right.
It's very hard to know what to call these bases on this map.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, this is the 13th base. And that base over there is the 20th base. Oh, right, okay.
I think that in order that was the 9th base he took. But yeah, so we're basically just waiting now to see if he can buy enough time with all his queens, which does look very unlikely because Queenie is up 70 supply. And she has the larva and she has the money right now to build whatever she wants. And I think she's just deciding what she wants to end the game with.
Yep, basically, like I said, it's that waiting game.
And she's marching her spines across the map right now, doing the slowest rush of all time, at 1 hour 8 minutes into this game. Soproni is now up to, what is that, 15 queens? 16?
Yeah, he's, like you said, the right thing to do with the queens, but these queens aren't going to cut it. Yeah, they have like upgrade advantage, I think, still. Oh no, Queenie actually has 3-3 now, so yeah, I there's just no way that Soproni can do this. If we're looking at like realistic ways he can do it, that's to make use these drones, build a lot of spines and spores, and just try and turtle behind it and rebuild. But that's just not going to happen because of the sort of tech and army Queenie now has.
So now we see the roaches moving in, and it's going to be the same number of roaches and queens. So this is one of the rare occasions where we get to see who wins, queens or roaches.
It all comes down to the injects.
Yeah.
It's not a good fight for Soproni either, because a lot of his queens behind are not hitting the units.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
It was just way too much. That's just game over straight up there. The Queenie's just going to flood more and more units across the map now and just end the game. She's maxing out on roaches, and yeah, that's game over.
I have to say too, there are some reactions in chat that please tell me there aren't any more 1 hour games. I have to say that when I was in this game, I rather enjoyed it actually. There wasn't a lot of downtime. There was a lot going on.
Well, you did have a two-day break halfway through the game, so
yeah,
it's understandable how you were able to cope with it. This has been a really long game though.
Yeah, and no, there aren't any other 1 hour games in this group. Since Monkey Boy was asking in chat. This is a very odd game, to say the least. And right now, he did, as you said, build spines, but it's just not enough.
They're way too late, and they should have been on the lower ground. So, there's just Queen's just bringing mana spines in now.
Yeah.
So
now we see Broodlords and Spines fighting Spines.
Yep. This is very different, to say the least.
I'm sorry if I'm sorry if I'm silent, but I just don't know what to say right now.
There isn't anything to say.
We're just watching
the awkward casting moment. We're just watching like the game, the Broodlords versus the Spines.
And I think
GG is gonna come any second now.
I would tend to agree.
It should have come a long time ago, but we're here. And yeah.
That's it, says Soproni.
Yeah. And the game is over. Sorry, guys.
GG. And Queenie takes another ZVZ in rather convincing fashion. She is now 4-0 in ZVZs.
Strong ZVZ, to be honest. Could have done a lot more in the early game to just end this game, but